am Michelle Kidwell Gilbert, Chair of the Archaeology Committee of the National Arts Club, and delighted to welcome everyone to an International Archaeology Day lecture entitled Across Jordan in the Footsteps of Alois Musil, Archaeology and Discovery, given by Sylva Pavlasová. Some of you who are able to attend events at the National Arts Club may recall meeting our eminent speaker, the former Czech Republic consul in New York, who trained as an Egyptologist and attended many of our programs. She even spoke in connection with one devoted to Egypt. Sylva Pavlasová headed cultural affairs for the Embassy of the Czech Republic in Cairo, as well as was chargé d'affaires of the Czech Embassy in Amman. She currently serves as director of the Mashrek unit of the Middle East Department at the Czech Republic Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The discipline of archaeology offers many delights while providing important knowledge about the past, connecting cultures one to another. With the Middle East in the news, the historic background that Sylva's lecture provides to our global audience seems particularly germane. Allow me a few remarks about this afternoon's important subject. Born into a poor family, but blessed with determination and brilliance, Alois Musil, a theologian, orientalist, and explorer, achieved true greatness. In the course of his travels, he made a discovery that reverberates even today. Qusayr Amra, an 8th century UNESCO World Heritage Site containing numerous splendid frescoes. A major Czech scholar of the 19th and 20th centuries, fluent in 35 dialects of Arabic. How many of us know all the different dialects from the different states in America? Nicknamed Sheikh Mousa by local Bedouin tribes, Musil amassed important knowledge related to Jordan's history, rich with traces from the Neolithic, Nabataean, Roman, early Christian, Byzantine, and Islamic periods through the establishment of the modern Hashemite Kingdom. He additionally left behind a wealth of scholarly and scientific materials in the field of anthropology, archaeology, biblical studies, cartography, and ethnology. It is now my sincere honor to request that Sylva Pavlasová address our audience. Sylva?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Michelle. Thank you. It was very nice introduction, and I can confess that we are since long time very good friends, and yeah, we know each other very well in person. And indeed, Alois Musil, at the beginning of 20th century, he was world-renowned scholar and ranked among the leading figures in geography, as you mentioned, Arabic studies, biblical studies, archaeology, but mostly in Arabic, in documentary photography or botany. He was professor at Charles University, and as you mentioned, also he mastered 8 languages and 35 dialects, which brought him closer actually to his brother Bedouins. Only now I wish that a movie would have been done as about Lawrence of Arabia, because he would deserve it still. He was a scientific celebrity who wrote the books, both actually for specialists and also for wide public and the children. Maybe some of you read the books from Karel May, the German author who wrote about Winnetou. So Musil was sort of like him, but Musil had what he wrote about, it was based on his own experiences in the field, on the contrary to Karel May. And he achieved a position that he would, even by himself, never dreamed. But it was a difficult journey for him, and it could ended up differently. But thanks God, all all everything what happened to him, how he devoted actually his life for the science discovery and so it brought him actually to his position. He was also connected with the US because in between 1926 and 28 he traveled to the States and to give lectures and to publish the outcome of his research, in which he eventually concluded in 6 volumes called Oriental Exploration and Studies. In this book, Musil described Orient, which already disappeared. So that's his value actually, or that's his value of these books, because and his work actually, it was eventually awarded by American Geographical Society. Uh, he was a Catholic priest. He became a chieftain of Bedouins. He prayed with Muslims, but he always actually been Christian, and he was even actually accused of converting to Islam and apostasy and denying biblical miracles. But although in fact actually in his heart he remained pure actually Christian. Although he referred to Christian God as Allah, but in translation Allah mean God, the God. Through
Sylva,
his discovery.
you're actually not sharing your presentation.
I'm not started.
Oh,
It's
I'm
just
so sorry.
a short introduction. And and through his discovery of desert castle Amra, he rewrote the history of Arab art. And his maps, they helped reshape the Middle East. In the early 50s, unfortunately, after the communistic coup, he became a man who was meant to be forgotten. But his rebirth came in early 1990s, and I'm happy also that behind that re-excavation of work and of Musil's personality was also my dear late colleague from the Nabataean Museum. He was a specialist in numismatic in early Islamic coins, and he was the one who in the early 90s he was traveled back to Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, and he did after so many years documentation mostly for the Czech audience. And now I'm starting to share the presentation. So uh, even at the beginning of 1990s, only few people know Alois Musil, but it was not only abroad, but even in his homeland. Although he was 20 years older than Thomas Edward Lawrence, known as Lawrence of Arabia, and traveled through the same region and almost at the same time, actually, as Lawrence. The two never met. Lawrence of Arabia, which you can see on the right side, was a British soldier, traveler, and Arabist, but he served for British Empire. Whereas Alois Musil, he was a Czech Catholic priest and Orientalist, and he was closely connected to the last imperial couple of Austria-Hungary. So they were enemies to each other. Each
Sylva?
serving.
Sorry, now you're really not sharing your screen.
Really?
Yeah. We cannot see the slides.
Okay, let me check it again. I will put it again. Sharing. Now, this one. Share. And now you can see it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Yeah, let's just make it
Super.
big for
Thank
everyone.
you. Is it?
Go to the upper left-hand side.
Yeah,
Fill the screen.
Yeah. Is it okay now?
Yes, beautiful.
Thank you. Okay. So on the right side, you can see Thomas Edward Lawrence, so-called Lawrence of Arabia. And on the other side, on the left side, you can see Alois Musil. Um, actually Alois Musil actually was close to the imperial couple of Austria-Hungary and to the first Czechoslovak president, Tomáš Garrigue Masaryk. After the communistic putsch in 1948 in Czechoslovakia, Musil was deliberately consigned oblivion by the communistic regime, and he remained known primarily among international scholars and one of the leading orientalists at this time. Only, as I mentioned already, only at the beginning of 1990s, after the Velvet Revolution, he been revived by newly established Czech Republic, and that connection there was again like a rediscovery of a unique early Islamic desert castle in the eastern Jordanian desert. Now allow me briefly to outline Musil's remarkable life and explain how he acquired his nickname Sheikh Mousa before turning to the archaeological sites located in Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. Because actually Musa, it's in Arabic it means Moses, but maybe it was just misunderstanding or mishearing of Bedouins his surname Musil, and that's why he was called Musa. So you can choose what you like, which version is suitable for you. Anyway, it was his great Arabic Bedouins name. Every Bedouin tribe actually in that area knows him under his nickname. Musil intellectual range was extraordinary. He was born into poverty as a son of a small farmer in southern Moravia, and he left behind an extensive scholarly legacy in the fields of Oriental studies, biblical scholarship, cartography, archaeology, ethnography, and cultural anthropology. He is the author of more than 70 books and over 1,000 scholarly and popular articles. During the period of the First Czechoslovak Republic, he played a key role in shaping Czechoslovak Oriental studies, and at the initiative of President Masaryk, significantly contributed to the establishment of the Oriental Institute in Prague. After the completing of his secondary school with distinction, Musil entered theological seminary in Olomouc. This was actually often a path chosen by talented young men from the poor families, because they couldn't afford to pay the studies. So they sent the son actually to study theology. And he was guided actually towards an academic career there in Olomouc by Professor Melichor Mlčoch. This was a unique Czech scholar of biblical history, and Musil developed a particular interest in Old Testament studies, and he refined his knowledge of Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. After completing his studies, he was assigned to a parish in Ostrava while continuing his postgraduate education. He was originally requested to be posted actually to a small parish just to be able to work on his thesis. But however, at his age of 23, he was sent to an industrial city of Ostrava with a new environment. He never experiences anything like this. You can imagine, you can equal it like Chicago at the beginning of 90s or beginning of 20th century. Industrial cities, a lot of foreigners. It's a mixture actually of culture. So at that time, this was Ostrava on the north of Czech Republic, actually northeast of Czechia. And also it was hub of migrations, multicultural, where Czechs, Polish, Germans, and Jews at the time actually were meeting. And for him, it was almost like a clashes of culture. But probably that experience helped Musil later to understand also the complexity of the Middle East, teaching him that different communities had also right to exist. Although very sickly and skin and bones, as he described by himself, he successfully passed in 1895 his rigorous doctoral examination. A decisive impulse towards the study of the Middle East came also already in 1893 from the publication of Pope Leo XIII's encyclical Providentismus Deus, which emphasized that biblical studies should be pursued as a religious academic discipline. And upon learning that in Jerusalem was opening of the Dominican École Pratique d'études bibliques, today is École Biblique Archéologique, Musil decided to travel there and to study the religion actually in the first hand as he searched for the origin of monotheism. When he arrived in Jerusalem in November 1895, he subsequently undertook several journeys to Egypt, and 1 year later, after arrival to Jerusalem, he crossed the Jordan River, and for the first time he entered nowadays actually Jordan. But as he was very enthusiastic, very eager, actually hungry after the new knowledges, the study in Jerusalem disappointed him because many teachers were behind him in languages and studies. And what he really wanted, actually meeting locals and exploring biblical sites, what was something that École couldn't provide. So he ventured into the field of his own. For that reason, he moved later to Beirut and continued his studies at the Jesuit, so not the Dominican, but the Jesuit University of St. Joseph. This period was not without difficulties, actually, because Dominicans in Jerusalem were displeased by his discipline and by this decision to study with the Jesuit rivals. They considered really as rivals and attempted to revoke his scholarship. But assistance came eventually from University of Vienna and the Czech Academy of Science. So they enabled then Musil to continue in his research. This marked the beginning of Musil era of research expeditions and crowned by significant discoveries and the formation of close friendship with local Bedouin tribes. He became co-chief of 2 Bedouin clans and brought back hundreds of copied Nabataean and Greek inscription, sketches, photographs, and as well as extensive topographical, ethnographic, and botanical data. In May 1897, Musil set out for southern Palestine and Gulf of Aqaba. He completed the mapping of Wadi Musa, today's where is Petra, and the world-famous Nabataean city. His travels, however, were not without dangers. On one occasion in Sinai, he was even attacked by a group of Bedouin raiders and forcing him to abandon the journey prematurely. Here on the pictures, you can see how Musil on the left was in Ruwala style and Beni Nabu tribe on the right side. Here, it's just a short intervention. It's a museum, local museum in Vyškov in Moravia, where it's close to the city or village actually where he was born. They preserve his personal stuff, and there is a small exhibition. And here you can see actually original saddle for the camel and some of his cameras and other tools he was using actually for his documentation. He was very stubborn, and through his character, I guess that he really managed that success he did and what we know now. And even by himself, he said that Some days I worked 14 hours, and I work physically and mentally, raked, dirty, attacked by vermin. At night, I had to stay alert, keeping watch over everything. For over 40 days, I survived on water and bread and strange food. My mental state was awful, but God helped me to endure. So I think this really characterized his personality absolutely perfectly. Musil, he was actually quite often without financial support, and he sought aid from local Bedouins. Without their protection, he couldn't have survived. The most important expedition of his career began in March 1898. In cooperation with the Bedouin tribe of Banu Sakhr, Musil visited several Umayyad desert castles in what is now eastern Jordan. You can see it on the map with three places I mentioned here: Qusayr Harana, Qusayr Amra, the most important site, and Qusayr Azraq. This first one, before we turn to Qusayr Amra, this is Qusayr Harana, which is like 60 kilometers towards east from Amman, and this is probably it's uncertain for what this palace was serving. Most probably it was just for the meeting between local Bedouins. Sometimes they are explaining it that it was actually resting place for caravan travelers. It's coming from early Umayyad, the dynasty from the early 8th century. And you can see it was recently very nicely reconstructed. You can see the main gate entering this Qasr, and inside there were several rooms where people can be hosted, and with so nice and fine details of floral design, as you can see on the small picture. And it's really unique. It's only made by mud, and it's still until now it's such a well preserved. Another Qasr, it's Azraq, and it's originally Crusader castle, dated back to the 300 AD actually, and it was never. It was actually later. It was additionally rebuilt by the Muslims, and inside even nowadays you can see a small mosque from the early 13th century. And this Qasr Azraq, which was built of, you can see the different material than the previous Qasr. It's made from black volcanic stone, which this site in the East Desert, close to Iraq and actually Saudi Arabia, it was the field of where volcano actually were before. So they just use the local stone for constructing of this Qasr. And in the 1917, Lawrence of Arabia actually was there. It was his home for 1 month, I think, during the Arab Revolt. And now we can move finally to Qusayr Amra. It's a really unique place. It's a very small, but the value, historical, architectonical, and even from all point of view, actually, it's very unique. About Qusayr Amra, Musil had previously learned of an unexplored he heard actually about unexplored structure known as a Qusayr Amra. Thanks to his Bedouin brothers, he reached it on the 8th of June 1898 during a military raid of the Banu Sakhr, and which he personally participated. Soon afterwards, his group, but when they managed to enter, this group actually was attacked by warriors of the rival Ruvala tribe, which prevented him from documenting the site in detail. Despite his limited time available during this first visit, Musil identified the structure and consisting of an audience hall and baths complex. Inside, he encountered a remarkable surprise. The walls were covered with unique figurative paintings depicting crafts, hunting scenes, animals, caricatures, and both male and female nude figures. Near the southern window they were three figures dressed in Greek attire. It was presenting Historia, Skeptis, and Poesis. The central image portrayed the Caliph enthroned, accompanied on the same wall by representations of the Byzantine emperor, Persian king, and the last Visigothic kings of Spain and the ruler of Abyssinia. The vaulted ceiling of the bath was decorated with the painted zodiac. Here on the vaulted roof in the main hall, you can see also presentation actually of different craftsmen. So it's unique color, and it's very well preserved, and it's they were in early 2010s. Italian restorators were working actually on that site, and they did very well, very great job. Qusayr Amra is one of the masterpieces of early Islamic architecture. Its interiors are richly adorned with murals and remains remarkably well preserved to this day. For that reason, the site was inscribed of the UNESCO World Heritage List, as Michelle already mentioned, and it was put on the list in 1985. However, until 1898, the structure stood abandoned and unknown to the Western world, known only to the nomadic Bedouins, who avoided anyway out of fear that evil spirits dwelt within. Today is accessible by a paved road, and as I said, actually it's around 90 kilometers actually from Amman. So by very comfortably in 1 hour you can reach the site. Here you can see some more details actually of paintings which are preserved in all the rooms of that complex. You can see butcher on the left side, slaughtery, and the bathing actually, and this nude person. It's really incredible. You can when you visited it, you just there at that and just saying that how it was possible. First, to be preserved until today's, and second, knowing that it's from early Islamic time, Umayyad time. How come they were, painting? They were presenting the human and animals and so, which was all because it was already at that time prohibited by Islam. The main building is a free isolated structure. Yeah, and this is sorry again. It's a caricature when a bear is playing guitar or lute. So it's really, so they had a very good actually sense of humor. From there, one entered then from to the room with the benches and followed by tepidarium and with the heated floor, and finally with a caldarium, a domed room with hot water and ventilation opening. And adjacent to the baths is a particularly round furnace room. The entire complex was enclosed by a low wall with the entrance near the well, and the floors were paved with large marble slabs. So here you can see the part where the baths were. So it seems that it used for high society at that time for taking a rest while they were hunting in the middle of nowhere actually. And scholars actually were long debated why the Umayyad ruling elite commissioned such an unusual decorative program for a recreational residence. The most widely accepted explanation suggests that the prohibition against depicting human and animal figures was not so strictly enforced during the early Islamic period. Qusayr Amra was likely built between 712 and 715 after Christ. The influence, you can see clearly actually the influence on Byzantine artistic tradition, and it is probably that artists were familiar with the style, were involved, or directly the Byzantine artists themselves actually did this decoration. And the baths were intended actually for use by a very narrow segment of the ruling elite, as I already mentioned. Amra can be regarded as a private property of Khalifa al-Walid II, which was ruling between 743 for 744, and at that time he ruled an empire extending across actually North Africa and the Middle East. In 2011, a major conservation project has been launched, as I mentioned already, and carried out by Italian specialists from the Italian Institute for Conservation and Restoration in cooperation with the World Monuments Fund. So now back to here you can see actually the map, and the map is turned as the picture is on the left side. So you can see it's a rather small complex, and with the well on the left side you can see, and there is also the wheel which was turning most probably by donkey or some animal to pull out the water actually from the well, which was not deep. They said that it was like 10 meters deep, and then the building itself. Musil, as I already mentioned, he didn't succeed to make a proper documentation of all these decoration inside, because they were attacked by another tribe. So then Musil, upon returning to Vienna with this news of the discovery, he was initially accused of fabrication, and prominent authorities dismissed him as a dreamer who had never been in the desert and lacked any documentation to support his claims. During the expedition, he had been forced to flee an attack, and so that's why he saved his whole life actually, and so that's why he didn't succeeded for the first time. But he was strongly addicted that he has to come again, and to make to prove his reputation. So he continued his work intensively on the map preparations, and in summer 1902 he undertook another expedition towards Sinai Peninsula to gather further data. He recorded everything: ruins, springs, mountains, and valleys. And in Vienna, where he was summoned by the Austro-Hungarian Ministry of War, he contributed to the completion of military geographical map. His advantage actually, or what he did beyond, he was walk through desert where haven't been before him any European actually. So he did perfect documentation, not only places which were already known at the time, but he was going really beyond actually that line. When in 1906 negotiations were underway to define the border between the British administrated Egypt and the Ottoman Empire, and the British Foreign Secretary Sir Edward Grey, he sought Musil's assistance, and he provided valuable information to both parties, which was resulted to an agreement which was signed in Rafah on October 1st in 1906. And also when his work was used again for its precision was in the 1980s when the agreement proved instrumental in negotiation between Israel and Egypt following the Camp David Accords on 1979, particularly in resolving the dispute over Taba border, which was returned to Egypt eventually in 1989. In 1906, as I mentioned, the most detailed map to date of the former Roman province of Arabia Petra was published at the scale of 1 to 300,000, covering an area approximately 95,000 square kilometers. It's largely corresponding actually to this modern Jordan. Musil continued to travel extensively in Arabia, Palestine, Mesopotamia, conducting ethnographic researches. And he lived among Ruwala Bedouins under their leader Nuri, who adopted him as a brother and appointed him as one of tribe's sheikhs. And Emperor Franz Joseph I awarded Musil the Order of the Iron Crown. Musil's final journey to the Orient took place in the autumn of 1917, at the end of the First World War, when he carried out political and diplomatic missions intended to strengthen Austro-Hungarian and German influence within Ottoman Empire. In January 1920, Musil was appointed full professor of auxiliary science of Oriental Studies and Modern Arabic at the Faculty of Arts of the Czech University, nowadays Charles University. He did also perfect documentation of Petra, which was founded by Nabataeans in the 4th century BC and served as their capital and remained hidden from the outside world, known only to the local inhabitants and local Bedouins until its rediscovery in 1812 by the Swiss traveler and orientalist Johann Ludwig Burckhardt. He was maybe also known among Bedouins as Ibrahim ibn Abdallah. So because he was traveled dressed as a Bedouin, not to be recognized as a foreigner. Petra was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List also in 1985. And also Petra is today counted among the new 7 wonders of the world. The most iconic monument you can see here is the treasury, Khazna in Arabic, carved over 40 meters high across high into rose-colored sandstone, and originally served as a funerary purpose. Most likely, it was tomb of the Nabataean king Aretas IV. In October 2024, archaeologists led by Professor Piers Paul Cressman of the American Center of Research in Amman discovered a hidden tomb beneath the treasury containing at least 12 human skeletons dating to the 1st century BC, along with the ceramic, bronze, and iron objects. The Nabataeans' water management actually system of Petra ranks among the most advanced in antiquity. Can you imagine that at that time they managed to supply by water up to 30,000 actually inhabitants in Petra's peak flourishing time. Which was around 60-62 BC. And they constructed a very intricate network of channels, cisterns, dams to preserve the water, which they know perfectly how to use it. Now on the pictures also you can see the site Petra is it's huge. You one day actually it's not sufficient to visit it or to walk through it, or you can manage it just to walk through the main sites and which are from different period, because after Nabataeans also Roman, Greeks and the Byzantines they were using it. They were constructing huge streets, churches with still with very nice preserved mosaics and other buildings. The amphitheater as well. Actually, they are. And this is just in the main, only in the main track, which is like 5 kilometers long. But nowadays, even Jordanians, Jordanian antiquities, they are trying to make more touristic paths through the different actually sites, and so it's not concentrated to the valley, to the main track, but also through the sites and through the sites which are up above actually these main buildings. And here is again Musil, who was there as well in person, and he was documenting also. Actually, this is the small, so-called there monastery in the on the other end of than Khazna is actually. And plus, it's not only antiquities, but it's a living site when you can see that even if you are there during springtime, there are a lot of greens, but also you are accompanied by cats, dogs, donkeys, and camels as well. Let's move to other what Jordan is very important, and what Musil didn't discover, but definitely he had to pass by this site, and this is the Neolithic statues from Ain Khazal. It's on the suburb of today's modern Amman, and it's dated to the 7,200 to 6,500 BC, and it was discovered in 1983 by archaeologist Gary Rolefson, which is and actually it's the representation of the earliest human sculptures, and this site is Ain Khazal. It's considered to be the largest Neolithic agriculture site in now today's Jordan. The region also hosted 4 major cities of Decapolis, which is Jerash, Philadelphia, and Gadara, and Pella. So this you can see Jerash, which is north of Amman, and it's actually old city, Roman city inside nowadays city. The ruins are in the center actually of nowadays today's Jerash, and it's a huge complex also of they were 2 amphitheaters, the site where they were selling the goods, the merchants were meeting. They are temples and other and houses, and also actually later it was a site where Byzantine when they were constructing Byzantine churches. So here you can see the Trajan's entrance from the Trajan, and you can see how beautifully still well preserved actually is the road, the pavement from that time, with perfect canalization as well. Actually, you can spot it on it's like regularly done holes down with the canal under it for the cleaning actually of the street. but also it's a living place, it's a living site inside these ruins when it's nice spring green time, so they can use it nowadays. Actually, Bedouins, modern Bedouins, for feeding their animals. Philadelphia, it's today's Amman. It's a hill, one of the, actually, I think maybe it's the highest site now in Amman. And from that place, you can see whole, actually Amman, whole new Amman. It's constructed actually also. It's the site where the first archaeological excavations were done and were found from the Neolithic time, and it continue even through the periods until early Umayyad and early Islamic time. Where they built the shrine actually and for early Muslim visitors. And this is also some details from the Roman period when they were huge statues which were already damaged, but some remains like part of hand and so were still not in situ, but it's still there. And Kais, it's also amazing place in the north west part of Jordan, and the edge actually of cliff where you can see Galilee Sea on the left side to the northwest, and Golan Heights and the Syria nowadays. And also it's a unique place where the cultures and architecture was done. They were using different materials, and the play of colors actually of the stones were the one of the best one I can ever see actually. So you can see here some small details also of different structures. And let's move now to the Christian part, which Jordan also is very rich for. This is a place called Machareus, Makawir, which is southwest from Amman. Actually, this place is opposite across the Dead Sea is Herodion. And also, actually, this construction or this in this place, it was enlarged by Herodot. And it is believing that or Flavius Josephus actually wrote that this in this place was imprisoned Saint John the Baptist, and he was here as well decapitated. And most recently, the place is re-excavated and reconstructed by our Hungarian colleagues. And the last one, Mount Nebo, it's the place where Moses, it's traditionally believed that Moses brought his people to this site, and he viewed the promised land before his death. It's believed that somewhere around this place he is buried as well. And then there is Bethany, which is actually the other on the Jordan River, when it's believed that Jesus Christ was baptized, and it's remaining actually like a major pilgrimage destination until now. And yeah, this is from this Mount Nebo Church, which is perfectly preserved. It's now curated by Franciscans priests, and it's really very also very nice place with very unique and special atmosphere. It really has its genius loci. This is from Madaba shortly. It's in church where the oldest map in mosaic Byzantine from the Byzantine time has been preserved. On the right side, you can see the map of Nile, actually part of Egypt, and on the other side, it's just the description actually what cities were on the map. And it's interesting that in the middle you can see the Dead Sea and the Jordan, and you can see that it's upside down. Actually the orientation actually is different than we are get used to now. And on the Dead Sea there are boats as well, which is interesting. And finally, Crusader castles. On the right, it is the biggest one from the 12th century, Kerak. And on the right side, you can see Shobak, which was built for under the control actually for the trade routes and to protect pilgrims. And Ajlun, which is actually the castle which was built by not by crusaders but the Arabs actually to protect against the crusaders. And the final, Alois Musil passed away in his homeland in nowadays Czech Republic, in central Czechia, in Otřeby, where he was originally buried, but then his remains, when there was celebration of his 100th century anniversary actually of his birth, his remains were transferred to his place where he was born, actually in Moravia. And plus the last one, I was using some cartoon paintings, pictures, which was done by our Czech scholar and Arabist Kristýna Košutová, and she put the life actually of Musil into very nice booklet, actually describing his life. So thanks to her, I was able to use it also for my presentation. So thank you very much. I will stop here, and yeah, and it's I spoke more than I was allowed, but I hope you allowed me that. Michelle, you can put
Yes, I
off
just unmuted. Thank
Yeah.
you. I want to thank you, Sylva. This was fascinating. We learned so much from your talk, and it filled in some gaps. And certainly for me, I remembered going to Petra. It was amazing. And I agree, one day wasn't enough. This was a trip, if people remember TWA. And I stayed in Petra an extra day rather than go to see the area where Lawrence had been, because I was amazed by Petra. And some of you may recall as well, I wrote down the name, Susan Alcock lectured many years ago, Petra, and another major scholar there was Martha Sharp-Jewelski also. So we've had programs on Petra and connected with Petra. There is an interesting under chat. It turns out one of the columns that you showed is in the Flushing Park in Queens, and it was a gift from Jordan in 1964. I did not know that, but I thank the conversation within chat.
Great. Thanks also. Actually, I didn't know that as well. So thank you.
Okay, next time you serve in New York again.
I
want
have to.
some quick questions, because I know we're over, and I understand if anyone
Yeah, I'm sorry
has to
for
return
my
to work. Oh, no, it was
my finishing.
fascinating. You began and you spoke about books and children's books.
Yes.
And when Mayako, who's the assistant chair, is there anything known about his children's books? Did he illustrate them?
Yes, not yeah. Some of them he illustrated. Some of them somebody illustrated for him, and it's really. I'm sorry I didn't included it into my presentation. I don't have personally any book, but I saw it. It's a little booklets, as you really imagine. Let's say Karl May and his Winnetou and all his stories. Something similar he did by himself. And he was also he spoke to the radio. And he was really very eloquent to the audience, and because we have still some records which are due thanks to nowadays technique. It's cleaned up the voice. And it's really very interesting because he was a really devoted researcher, and he loved Bedouins, and also because he helped one of these Ruwala chieftain actually of this Bedouins tribe. He healed up the guy, and also that's why actually he was accepted into the tribe, and he was awarded actually to be among the on this within actually this chief. Was what was also great that he was always actually dressed in Bedouins, and plus, or thanks knowing 35 dialects of Arabic dialects, it's
That was
incredible.
amazing. Mhm.
So he did so many friends eventually. Even the between the tribes which were enemies, they were connected actually by Musil or Sheikh Mousa for them, because he was humble, and he was really like one among within them, or one of them. So it was his big plus that he was not like a, let's say, white foreigner traveling, in the desert, but he really tried to do everything like he would be being Bedouin. And this,
Very,
sorry.
no, do continue. I'm
No,
sorry.
this one he transferred everything into his book. I will try at least for you, Michelle. I will collect at least. I will make some photos of
Thank
that
you.
booklet for children, and I will send you later. So I
Thank you.
promise.
Yes, and I'll share it with others. And let me
Uh-huh.
say for our audience, if you want to put any questions into Q&A, please do so. Well, another member of the committee, William Bilstein, asked about his deep integration into the Bedouin communities, which you've talked about, and he made this very knowledgeable and legible to European scholarship and state institutions. They all learned from him, and it
Mm,
changed some of their policies, do you think?
mm. Yeah, actually, it was very interesting also when what I didn't mention. Uh, One of his also hardship, actually, when he was asked by Austrian Hungary monarchy to be, it was at the end of the First World War. He was sent to the Middle East again, and with the task actually to unify the tribes against the British Empire, actually. But he knows, as I spoke about Ostrava, alias Chicago, he knew that it would be in vain. Actually, he couldn't persuade. Actually, he knew the tribes, and he knew the character of the people. That it would be totally failure actually to persuade them. So what he did, although he came with a military actually dress, and so he was just talking to Bedouins and just bringing the information. So on the contrary, Lawrence of Arabia, he was really trying to unify actually all the tribes against the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah. Jody Wudwitz from the committee, in fact, asked about what he was doing. And was it due to the Turks were the allies of the Austrian Empire in
No,
Germany that he was enlisted in
yes.
this? Was his question.
Yes, yes, yes. It was Austrian Hungary monarchy and Ottoman Empire, and on the other side was the British and the French, and I mean that part of Europe. And it was also paradox that when in the early 1920s, Musil asked to be a professor, actually, to be assigned a professor at Charles University.
Mhm.
uh, the authorities asked French if if he's allowed, because he was associated then mostly with the royal family actually of Austrian Hungary, which was not any let's say fun after the First World War and after
I
this
can imagine.
new set of war. And they asked French, the winning actually powers, whether he can be named as a professor. And they were just wondering why actually you are asking us. Actually, he's scholar, he has behind himself great work, so go ahead. So then after that he was named professor at university.
That's
So it
interesting.
was also paradox of that word, which was changing, you know, with the fall of Ottoman Empire and with the creating of the new world order.
Mhm. Now we have another question which doesn't seem to be in praise. And he certainly was a remarkable man and made a difference in the world. And this is from Courtney Brown, who administers our archaeology attics. Um, she said he was trying to remove the paintings of the six kings. Was that accurate? And did he give a reason for that?
Mhm. No, no, he was just photographing it. I
He was
didn't.
just photographing it. There was
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, for the second time, actually, when he came for the second time, and the first
this is
time
the,
he
yeah.
did just the sketches, actually, but then as the other tribe was attacking them, so they have to escape, actually, to protect, to save their life.
Mhm.
So, with for the first time when he came to Vienna and he was reporting what he found, they didn't believe him because it was only his,
His
you
words.
know, handwriting and hand painting. But for the other second time, he brought already cameras and then so and he did proper documentation.
Mhm. And we had an interesting question from Richard Thomas, also that's under questions. And I'm sorry I have lost. Now, Richard Thomas uh, is with the UN and he was a board member of the club. And he was also very interested in what was happening as well with this. And he had some questions. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I've lost my link right now. I'm trying to get it back so I can ask this final question
Mm-hmm.
uh, that I have. Oh, good. Thank you. And oh, we have three under this. Well,
Mm-hmm.
under questions. Thank you. I'm sorry, he corrected me. It's Richard Jordan, not Richard Thomas. And
Mm-hmm.
I should have known it's appropriate for today's class. And he said, and this is a beautiful way to end, has any effort been made to highlight Musil's work, either on Czech National Day or Arabic Language Day at the United Nations? What do you know about that, Sylva?
At the United Nations, no, I don't think so. But at least when I was in Jordan, when I was serving, I presented the work of Alois Musil, also with the exhibition
Mhm.
of just of that book I showed you at the end
Yes.
of this cartoon book of Kristina Koshutová. And also, we did a great discussion among our colleagues, not only from actually it was from international community. It was not only EU community in Jordan, but also I spread this information among my friends. And also because one of my colleague he did a presentation on at this American Archaeology Institute. So we were discussing the work, and they did aware of Alois Musil, and actually we were promising that we will exchange or we will send them some books actually for their library, actually to provide them to have more work inside. But specifically within UN and within the States, I'm not sure that he was there mentioned, or there was something done publicly, or or PR actually from our side, or like Czechs.
Okay, thank you for telling me this. I'm going to read from my cell in just a minute. I want to thank you for this extraordinary lecture, as well as allowing our global audience, because such that it is, to learn from you. You were splendid in presenting this wealth of information. And I thank our audience for joining us as well today. There are 2 programs. We have many more programs, and I hope everyone on this is on the list from the National Arts Club or the Archaeology Committee. But the next 2 I want to mention, one you're interested in, Sylva. On March 16th, Bob Breyer will be talking about the man behind the gold mask of Tutankhamun. So, and he's one of the authorities on Egyptian art, and that'll be from a political vantage point. And we've had a number of programs on King Tut, certainly. And our next online program is going to be extraordinary. It's on April 22nd at 1 p.m. with Paul Cartledge, and it's entitled Pericles the Eccentric. Well, we all think of Pericles as this great spokesman for democracy and Athens in its glory. Now we're going to learn the man within and behind.
Could learn from them nowadays.
So I thank you all.
Thank you.
My very best for this lecture, Sylva. And if you can stay on a minute or 2 afterwards.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
Okay.
you very much. I'm sending best regards to all of you. And I was really regretting that I was not in present with you. But I hope, inshallah, that one day I will be there again. Thank you very much.
And return to New York to serve for the Czech Republic. We would love that personally.
With the exhibition and another lecture of Alois Musil in UN.
Okay.